Okay, so I got my mic hooked up again. Um, Hoping this works. I'm checking on the stream for some reason. Okay, there it is. Fantastic. Yeah. So I'm gonna play some Hades. This has been a while since I picked this up, and I was gonna play some last night, but I decided to get some sleep instead, and I do feel better because of that. Just be another moment here. Apologies. And so I'm gonna have the music off for Hades. For the VOD, it's just gonna be sound effects and me talking, which I know is gonna be a little like spooky and kind of quiet. But um, last stream I forgot to isolate the the like I used desktop audio, so there were muted spots of the VOD, and I was like talking, So I'd rather it not, you know, get muted, of course. And I can't put that one on YouTube really because I don't want it to get. Anyway, I'm sure you guys get it. But so we're just gonna have music on the live, and I don't know. Well, without further ado, right? Let me get to the program here. For some reason, so it booted fine in Vulkan the first time, and then I was like, oh, but I don't want it on this screen. And Hades is one of those games that doesn't let you choose which screen. You have to switch your primary display, and I think that probably screwed it up. Or OBS, I can't even figure out how to move the window or whatever. Seriously, a little ticking me off a little bit, but I got through it, and it looks like it responds to when because sometimes it's just frozen on the capture because it's not the right method of capture or whatever. But I've got it set up now, so without further ado. So this is like the one I'm working on, so we're gonna do that. I haven't beaten the game, but this is actually a pretty young profile. I deleted the first save I made because I'd gotten super far. I had spent a bunch of nectars on stupid things, and I've got my controller handy.
Do not mess with me right now.
Oh, I'm in the middle of a room.
What else?
Oh, I've got Divine Dash.
I warned you.
Hell yeah.
I'm hurt.
It's been a while since I played.
Myself, but I can fight.
Anyway, so I'll probably gloss over, some of the plot points, some of the Greek mythology stuff. I know it's like a super story-heavy game. I am going to read them when they're important, but I probably won't do like all the small talk Easter eggs. Oop. And I'm pretty much dead here.
Who dies next?
Yeah, that's okay. There is an escape, by the way. But I guess it's saved because I'm already dead. That's too bad. Let's get some stuff from the Mirror of Darkness then, huh?
My escape route's back the other way.
See, no shadow. No darkness. That's kind of weird. The heck? Oh, I guess I already spent it? I don't know. And is this? And I'm on the bow now?
I can escape through that pink window there.
Do I have keys? Obviously not.
I'll have to come back later.
Oh my god, and I don't even have a keepsake.
I should turn around. My escape route's in the courtyard I just left.
Okay, let me see.
Do not despair, child.
I believe it, Nix.
Oh, the shop place where you can buy stuff isn't even open yet. Anyway, I see the exclamation marks.
Good to see you.
I'm kind of gonna just blaze through them a little bit. I have seen this part of the game.
Stupid boy.
It's a lot of this,
You know,
just
gets out of here,
just world building.
My ransacking was a delight.
My ransacking was a delight. Thank you for
I'll just
asking.
be on my way.
be on your way indeed.
Be on your way indeed.
Oh,
Damn.
You shall never.
Well, bet. What have you got to say? Nice place you got here, boyo. Oh, did I load the wrong save? What? No, because it would say last played. Huh. This is puzzling me. Anyway, I meant to do the hell mode one. So. Oh, and this is just on the sword. Okay, yeah. Okay, we'll get the spear. We'll just try and get a couple keys this run. Oof.
There she is. It's got to be her.
Oh, I think this is why I keep retrying. It's because this boon is upgraded. It's got the blue, right? And there's a divine dash, and it's like my favorite upgrade. So
Hear me all the way where you are, goddess. But thank you.
I think that's why I like kept trying with this profile. Oop. Yeah, I should have dashed there. Can't really take many hits in this game. It's hard.
Look what I found.
I'll take some coin. Thank you. So neither of these help during the run. I think this is that gets us to Varatha though. So
Come with my blade. A Catholic key.
over here. Oh. That Nova Slam is... Oof!
Centaur heart.
I don't... So what, we're on the 5th room. So it's probably not going to be a... It can't be a fountain, because I don't have that upgrade. Probably... We'll go with the shop.
Think I hear the river. Kieran's shop.
Ooh.
Business.
Attack is stronger and can deflect. Nice. It kind of hurts not taking the upgraded boons, right? But oof. And then another Athena boon after this room. And we just stunlock. Stunlocked. Get screwed, buddy. I got you right where I want you.
Anyone else?
And our special can deflect. Yeah, that's... Wow.
Louts.
Woo!
The underworld's power. It's dark, all right.
That was intense. Okay. I gotta sip some tea. Today, my tears dry on them. In the blue shade, my tears dry on their own. Having everything deflects is like... So as long as I keep doing things, like, I'm invincible. Like... Okay, maybe not. This is true. Maybe not invincible, oh god. Still have to be moving around. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Keep me going for a bit.
Okay. We're cooking.
I'm hurt. Can't heal myself, but I can fight. Witches.
Did I take damage from that? Shoot. Okay, I'm invincible to the witches. Those are like the most annoying for me usually. Will you still love me tonight? Just a moment. Legend. Leave the magic of your side. Will you still love me tomorrow? I'm dead.
Coin from the dead.
I don't have any regen. Like, I gotta buy food, I guess?
Kieran's shop.
I can afford the Centaur Heart and the food. No gold in these. Right. Well, I don't think Athena has any more great boons for us, so...
Well, this is awkward.
Halt, Zagreus.
Not one step further.
Come on,
Why'd I
mate.
say it like that?
Your father sent me.
I'll have to go with the painful way.
I don't know.
A man after.
Just vibes. Oop. Oop. I'm dead. I know, I can just back away. This is why I use the bow.
Scratch.
Let me be clear. I'm gonna keep trying. Okay, see, now it's like shuffled around, right? And I definitely just played, so this is... What the hell? What the hell is going on with these saves? Okay, let's just actually try and beat it with Varatha. And I think...
Varatha.
Yeah, I can upgrade it.
Achilles.
After your special, you can retrieve your spear with Raging Rush. You dash towards your spear and it buffs the next 4 attacks.
Good to go.
Oh,
Let's see here.
and I'm a tryhard, so we're gonna do Lambent Plume. Yeah, I have like everything unlocked except that one. So Sisyphus, Eurydice, Patroclus. And then I guess there's someone on the... Oh, this is if we get something to our mom, probably, right? I don't know why I unlocked all the weapons, but I guess I did. Yeah, I don't need to be doing it on nearly this difficult of a setting. I was just trying to challenge myself, because I was, oh, maybe I can do it on Heat 6? Is that gonna... Oh shoot, I already went up 3 floors on Heat 9? 6, 7, 6, 8, 11... Oh, sorry, Weapon 5, that's when it's up. Tight Deadline is usually fine.
No
Like, that's an easy level 6. If you're on hell mode.
Arms are sealed away for a reason,
Oof.
boy. Your curiosity exceeds your common sense. But heed my words. You stay away from those accursed things.
You stay away from me.
And we start with a hammer. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Flurry Jab is really good. Dash Strike hits 3 times, has minus 25 range. Charging makes us sturdy and pulse damage. I think Flurry Jam is by far the best one of those. There we go. And I just gotta keep moving.
What do we have here?
Very cool. Centaur Heart or Dionysus Blessing. With Flurry Jab, Drunk would be a really good status effect to get on it, because then we're getting that many procs. Like, because with bow, right, I usually play bow, or I used to play bow a lot.
Nothing.
So, thing is, unless you get Flurry Shot with bow, also timer is paused when you're in these. See, attack inflicts, hangover, not drunk. It inflicts drunk. They're like, this is awesome. Why am I fighting you? That's one type of drunk. So it goes in like dup da da dup dup da da dup. Dup da da dup 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 dup. Woo! Anyway, sorry for the incidental fake out on the profiles there. But we are going to clear it with Varatha. My goodness. This spear is really good. I should be using the special though. Thunder Dash is really good because I dash a lot and I'm not necessarily thinking to use the special. And that'll like stun enemies that I want to dash past. Take the darkness over the gemstones at this point. Oh, and it's a fountain. Nice. And we are timed in here. Oh, it's this boss. Arg. There's an achievement if you do that without taking damage. I don't know that I have it. Okay, see, I will go with Rare Crop. Because I don't have any epic boons. I know I'm thirsty today. I was breathing too much overnight. Must have been. I got weird breathing in my sleep sometimes. It's not apnea, but I'll be laying there and like it'll be like 30 seconds pass by, and then it's like I remember that I have to take breaths. Ever since I was a kid. But you know, we did tests and stuff. Oh, I should have done the other one. Valorant, Valorant, Valorant. Would you have to go to scam? Didn't you have to? Did you get a good lawyer? I hope you find the right man who'll fix it for you. And everywhere, change the color of your hair. I busy. Have to find. I am all the time. Are you still dizzy? Chocolate on my home, and my body's been a mess. I miss your dental hair and the way you like to dress. Won't you come on over? Stop making a fool out of me. Oh, why won't you come on over, Valerie? Valerie. Valerie.
Be the spear once wielded by the great Achilles there, can it?
Valerie.
Have you even the
Sometimes I go out on myself. I look across the water. Think all the things that you did. And in my head I paint a picture. I come on home and my body's been a mess. This is good. This is really good.
My senses sharpen.
But come on over. It's gonna be free. Let's take the boon. Because this is like room 8. Yeah.
In the name of Hades.
And we have lightning reflexes now too. Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready. Oh my god, it's literally the rematch.
I can't just let you.
And in this corner, Bagheera, first of the Furies, versus Zagreus. Ah! We're just gonna inflict like a bunch of DOT. Like I'm already running away. I'm like, the hangover will take care of you.
I did it.
I think that was damageless. See, I should have taken the darkness from Sisyphus instead of the healing. Because I have... Okay, timer's paused.
You enjoy the
So,
stint in Tartarus?
what is... Yeah, so you either get Dark Regeneration or the other one where you Chthonic Vitality. Or Chthonic... Okay. See what the shop has? Oh, right. Gotta use the fountain. It's not worth re-rolling this shop. It's super early.
Which one?
Nothing walks in the sea. He looks straight ahead, not at me.
Let's go up.
But him goes walking and when she was his inside. Oh, I like how they pause the timer here.
Expanse once lush and green.
The girl, I'm in Panama, bleeding, new, deep, That's great because there's no lyrics, but I remember it better than the lyrics sections. So, what's up with that? Oh, I want it so badly. How can I tell her I love her? Yeah, I want to give my badly. But each day when she walks to the sea, she looks straight ahead, not at me. Attack going faster would have been good there. No Chaos Gate. Not today. Looking at me. Ooh. Oh, no, I didn't get the stone guy quick enough. There we go. Where are you going, bro? Haunted by the bay.
Oh, yes.
Boom, doom, doom, doom. To play. Two boons? Yeah. Well, if the run dies, we know why it died. Ooh. Okay. We have both boons from each of them already. Oh, goodness. Emits chain lightning, and it's heroic, but hear me out. This is getting upgraded in another couple rounds. Heroic is max upgrade, so I feel like my strategy values Drunken Strike more than Lightning Strike. And I think at least one of these is going to stay upgraded. So I'll do some rerolling.
How about a different set of choices then?
Arg. Lightning can strike twice.
So that's your choice. Maybe you're more like my relatives.
Yeah, plus I was
than
yapping this
right.
morning, so my throat's like extra dry, not just from overnight. But it's still, I don't know. You know, you guys ever been in like a real dry climate? You end up like drying out the, like above the roof of your mouth. I think it's called the soft palate. Oh my god. There's so many lightning bolts. Yeah, the double lightning is a good plan. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, no, no. Nope, 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 nope. There's always so much going on in these trials. Oof. Clutched it. I took like so much damage there. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay. Critical damage is really good. 57% damage. Attack is 15% stronger. This doesn't even make my attack stronger. It's just the hangover effect. I think Deadly Strike.
A change of boons was in order.
Instead of the change. Hades Kid. I have a name. Loved by the gods. Up to 2 random boons are upgraded to the next rarity. 4 to the next level. The next 3 we find have upgraded rarity. I'd say take the palm porridge.
So good.
Oh, very nice. Okay, attack is 15% stronger. Or, sorry, 63% stronger, 15% chance for a crit. The music is paused. Okay. This is one of the best songs that she's singing right now, but I've heard it before.
See you again. Ready when you are, Varatha. Death.
Oh, I should have saved that. Gah. Okay. You have to kill these laser guys first, because they grant immunity. Oh, I just wasted all that traps. See how many crits we're getting? I'm gonna get a lambent plume trigger off the barge. That's like unheard of. Dionysus's Aid would be really good. Premium Vintage giving me a Nectar is kind of cool. I already have 5. So probably not the choice to make. But, let's see. Your cast lobs alert explosive, or your call inflicts hangover. $25. Heals me back up to 50. And I wake up alone. I Aching my chest. My day done now. The dark covers me, and I cannot run now. My blood running cold.
Phew.
I stand before him. It's all I
Get me
can
out of here.
do. I'll show him. I don't even know what she says there. Because
Just what I
I
need.
for him tonight. Drown in me. Deep days under the blue light. This in my dream. These in my car. He floods me with dread. His soul swims in my eyes by the bed.
Why, hello.
Pour
Have you
myself
patience at
over
last?
him.
Quadrupeds.
Moon villainess. And I'll wake. Take up alone. And fly way up alone. Obviously, it's impractical in a video game, but it would be really cool if a particular weapon could, like, be buffed against the Hydra. Because that would be, you know... Obviously, you know, then you've got to have, like, one that... I don't know, I feel like you could have a series of them, right? Like, each of them... And then it's like, whichever boss you find hardest, like, I don't know, maybe a category of weapon. But this game only has 6 weapons. Or like if there one of the forums had like you get a like monster slayer type thing, you know, and it would be buffed against all the boss fights.
That's what you get.
Or like maybe you have less health and I don't know. I want to play a different game is all that tells me. I like this game and I like imagining how it could be different and better.
Surpassed my Hydra.
I sure did, Father.
Okay, we're gonna chill here for a second. I'm gonna get some healing, refilling my tea here. Da-bow. Oh, good tea today. Let me get some water. It's not good to just... It's a little bit of a strong brew for me. Oh, okay. Anyway, going back to what I was saying earlier about the Varatha fake out, I forgot. I just forgot, and it's a little embarrassing. But I thought maybe I could get enough keys during that one run. But really, I kind of want to try like a first run on and just see if I can beat Hades. Like go through the 4 layers and all that. You know, a bit of a challenge, you know? It's already in challenge mode, though, so maybe I don't need to do... but, you know, I don't need to play the video game. There's other things. So... Let me see. Is any of these worth selling? Deadly Flourish, for 55 gold. The extra 50% damage is a huge,
Take me up.
if you will, a huge benefit. Oh my god, I just said the title of the movie. Timer's moving. I gotta move. Okay, but we have to see. We're past Tartarus. We're in Elysium. take the hammer. 100 gold or a hammer. If I could buy a hammer for 100 gold, I would every time. Oh, I thought that was an enemy. I hate these guys. Oh my god. They're literally the worst. Like, the only runs I think I get past Elysium with the bow is when I get chain shot because of those. Oof. Okay, now, extending jab plus flurry strike, or triple jab plus flurry strike. I don't know which one's better. The master artisan discarded his own tools once his fell work for Hades was complete. Yeah, Daedalus, man. Extending jab. We don't recover the special, right? So this doesn't do much. Or hold. I don't know that. I haven't ever tried it. But I don't find myself using it a lot. And if I want the range, then I feel like I take extending jab. Your attack strike 3 times in a spread pattern is really good, but I think the extra range is, like, being able to keep ourselves at a distance is going to be really valuable. Do I have any deflection? Oh. Oh, see. Extending jab, right? There you go. Hold on, getting comfy. Ooh. Whoa. Whatever I just did, I should be doing that more. I didn't dodge. It's hard to dodge on this map. Egg. Yikes. Woo! And we got the plume trigger. Let's go. Just looking for, okay. So there'll be fancier, like, pots and urns. Ow, that's why I just gotta dash away from him, huh? That's okay. Hey, 190 health. Maybe I should stop taking, maybe I gotta start picking some boons up. So this boss, you wanna just, like... You can't just focus down, you kinda wanna balance it. But it's not too bad. I always kill the archers, because I hate dealing with archers. I do not like to deal with long-range enemies. I think if you do this enough, like if you don't focus on the butterfly for enough time, you like get a tip where they're like, yeah, you gotta attack the butterfly. But if you ask me, it would be really cool if, like it was a number of enemies cleared, and like the butterfly counts as 50 or whatever, or you can just defeat 50 of the spawning dudes while you dodge the butterflies. I like options, in a way, you know? At least, like, having a more diverse set of choices. So then I can really pick, like, what suits me. But having choices and rerolls, you know, you get an analysis paralysis. Okay. So I have 30. So 30%, I have 190 health points. So this is like 60 health. Bad influence would be good if I had kept. Oh, my call can inflict hangover, and then bad influence triggers. Let's do it. Take a palm. Gosh, I just can't get comfortable.
No one's here.
Okay. The Thunder Dash is really good. You get diminishing returns on the level. So it's at 39, it's only going up to 43, where that first one added 6 points of damage at 12. So you're adding 50% with that first one, and this one you're only adding 10. And that's just level 3 to 4 versus 1 to 2. So it scales down really quickly. It's not, that's what kind of gets me about this game. Bad influence would be really good. Dionysus's aid is, you know, but do bad influence. Oh my goodness. The fountain. Ah. Oof. Okay. Go meet Patroclus. Oh, Time's Pod. I think he'll give us one Death Defiance. Oh, he replenishes all our Death Defiance. Wow. For the next 5 chambers, restore 30%. Whoa, that's 60 health. Or I deal 60% more damage for 10 encounters. That's got to be the move. That takes us to the end of the game. And then here, so boons are 150. I'm not thinking of buying any of the special items out of the shop. Hammers cost 300, but I think you can only have 2 hammers. And if it replaces either of them, like it chooses which one to replace, but it doesn't let you pick. If I remember correctly. Oh, that's the end of the album. Let me get over there. And go here. And back to the game. Okay, so I'm thinking we save the upgrade, or sorry, we save the gold to buy a hammer upgrade or other stuff. I spilled on my controller. Where's a what? Oh, okay, I didn't mean to do that. Oops. And I'm on the clock. Okay. Okay, now I'm not on the clock. Cast, I don't use the cast a lot. So that adds 10 damage every second if I do that. Bad Influence is only triggering after I use Dionysus's aid. I think that's the best option. Other things I would think to upgrade are already high enough level that I'm gonna get better value. If like these are decent. There's not a lot of reroll opportunities left, so I'll reroll at least once.
Instead.
Oh, Deadly Flourish, now 20%, or Thunder Dash or Bad Influence. Thunder Dash is really taking good care of our run here.
Gentlemen.
A few others in a...
These dudes are about to lose. Like they've never lost before, man. Oh my god. Lino, buddy. Ah. I keep forgetting that one. You just don't move. That's Aphrodite, right? So it's... Yeah. 13 minutes on the clock is insane pace.
Finally.
I don't know why... So I guess I've already... That doesn't make sense. Didn't I pick up Titan's Blood? I guess I didn't. Oh, I just don't know. I don't think I understand. Because if I beat it on Heat 5 and I got past the first 3, but this has a time limit, this is Heat 6. Okay, whatever. Nemesis Crest and Eris Bangle are really helpful. And Eye of Lamia as well. Yeah.
Not what I need right now.
Another Eye of Lamia. A Life Essence. Ethernet. Funny. These aren't great. Quick recovery. I do have quick recovery. Okay, good. See, the glowy pots have money in them. So they're pretty obvious, but just looking for them is good practice. 22 minutes. A palm, an anvil? Do you swap -1 for 2? Okay. I think the distant strike is incredibly useful. 2 random boons are very likely to be very useful. And more so than just another hammer. Yeah, so that's right. They give you the anvil because you can only have 2 hammers, and they're like, okay, so we can't give you a hammer, but... Oh my goodness. Did I not pick up those other health items? That's fine. Ooh, what is that? Oh. And the clock keeps ticking. Just like time keeps on slipping. The fact that, like, every time I dash it just deals damage is very nice. I'll take another Nemesis Crest. And we're only trying to get the hammer. So go with that. Now, I don't actually mind if we get rid of Flurry Jab. I think the distance would be, like, so here's the thing, Flurry Jab isn't like regular boon. Obviously not, right? But what I mean by that is it's not buffing the attack, it's just buffing the effective attack speed. And that's really, it's like, so have you ever played video games like shooters where because the first shot is totally accurate, at least I think this was a thing in a couple older games I've played. Star Wars Battlefront comes to mind. And I got a Lambent Plume trigger. Where spamming the button is a lot more accurate than if you just hold it and let it automatically fire. So I don't mind, like, having to spam the button.
No thanks.
I thought that was a fountain. I swear I've played this game a little bit. Go for the Centaur Heart. We have plenty of time. Here we go. Oh, I'm poisoned. I'm poisoned again. I'm poisoned again. Oh god. Gosh. Okay. The little rats are like my least favorite enemy. More so than the big rats. Because the little rats will just pop up and like do a little damage to you and then they're dead by the time you can even like realize that they've done damage to you. You've already taken them out, but... Okay, Hydrolite, yes please. Nemesis Crest, again, yes. So I'm trying to get backstabs on Hades. Gosh. No, no poison. Don't do the poison cloud. Okay. 26. 1846 left. We're still good on time. I think we're gonna clear all 5 rooms. Oof. Hey, we got it. Let's go. So, plus 7% damage. Meh. But it has a higher crit chance. I think we take it for the higher crit chance. We got the sack, and we got the heal. That's the only heal. So, what would I even really get? The meter boon, there's nothing really either of those are going to give me that's going to help. I'm going to go with this. Lost Flurry Jab, Flaring Spin, Serrated Point. Okay. Flaring Spin, charging, okay. Well, they are 2 of my least favorites, of course, but... And... that'll be useful. Check this. Hey, hangover-afflicted foes are more likely to take crit damage. Bonus critical chance per stack of hangover. Plus 1.5. Hunter's Mark is really good. Because they have plus 30, and then I've got 15. 15 plus 30. Okay, splitting headache it is. God, I really did have a... Oh, you noticed that short dash, huh? Ouch. Alright, let's see this. I've got 3 revives, a stacked loadout. I'm on my game. Had a meal, got my tea. Let me sip.
I wonder, boy, who's going to kill whom this time around.
What a morbid consideration, frankly. Like, I get that he's literally, like, the deity of being an edgelord, but... see, that's not gonna work. What am I gonna do about that? I have to really keep my distance, or... Oh, this fucking thing. Oh, I just remembered why this is so hard. This is gonna suck. This is gonna suck a little bit. Ooh. Okay, first damage threshold. These guys are the worst. Because they fill up the whole damn arena. And then I'm fucking got boiling blood. Anyway, I gotta use that, like, right away. Because... how do I fill up this much? Oh, I'm regenerating, that's right. When I forgot. I didn't catch the thing, I didn't catch it. Oh gosh. This is bad. Okay, but not like... Fuck off. Not bad, but not good. Bro, like, we're using the same weapon, even. I can't... Oh, gosh. I can't dodge that. Oh, come on. If I can get to his second phase... Okay. Second phase. 2 revives. Oh my god. It's been a while since I played. You bet your ass I'm gonna get cheap and play a little chicken ring around the rosy thing here. It's not that bad dodging them. Oh, the fucking pillars. He's got me cornered. Okay. Oh, I just lost a lambent plume. Nope, 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 nope. Okay, we're good. We're good. We got a third of his health down. 2 lives. Ah! Oh, fuck. Nope. Okay, 135. Let's see it. Pull through, Zag. I should be using my cast. Cast spamming. Raider call. Oh my god, no! That was the worst time. That was the worst time. Oh, fuck. 75, 74. Dee 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 dee. Oh my god. Okay, okay. Okay, okay. Come on. No, 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 no. Oh, okay. Barely. Okay. Close counts. Close counts. Close counts. Close counts. We're good. I got him. I got him. I think I was one shot. I was one shot at the end of that. Oh my god.
By my own fool.
Dude, not even your own fool kin? Okay, not only is this your kid, bro, I used your spear. Yeah. So go back to hell. Back where you came from. Alright.
Alive and well. In my father's
Damn. Oh, okay. I didn't think I was going to get through that. And I felt so good. I get all the way to Elysium. I haven't been downed. Oh yeah, I got a build, you know? Anyway, the spamming the button worked just fine. But if I had lost, here's the funny thing. Losing the 25% range on the dash really, like, screws things up. I have the funniest feeling the dash strike hitting 3 times might have, like, clutched it for me, though. Like, but at the same time, no. This was a bad one. Serrated point is bad. And I'm never gonna take an anvil again. This is my first time clearing without the bow. So I usually there's my Titan's blood.
Varatha shuddered just now.
But yeah, I usually play bow, and that's how I had gotten this far and gotten all that darkness and hey, we got through it. Can we fish? Yes. Ah,
Drat.
look out at the sun.
Huh.
The moon?
To see this each day.
The sun. Ah, pretty beautiful. I like the tone. Like, kind of super red. Anyway, I'm glad I have a nectar. Because now we're gonna say hi to our mom.
Zagreus?
It's only
Hi.
me.
Oh, can I not give her a nectar? Shoot. I know once I talk to her, I gotta go. It's gonna be that whole thing. Well, I guess we have to go eventually.
Of everything down in that gloomy house, I miss old Cerberus the most, I think. But I miss other things as well. The lack of light was gentler on my skin, not being as cold. And Nyx and her young sons. It was all very odd, but
Mother,
I
in
would
Father's
miss the
bedchambers.
doggy too.
Mind you, there's almost nothing there, just neatly sorted rows of all his samey capes. But on his nightstand is a portrait of you, wearing a regal crown of red laurels. A queen. His queen.
That's like heartbreaking.
I was fitted for those garments when I first arrived. They were not my customary style. So Hades has a portrait of me still. Why would he put it back on display now?
That whole relationship is so weird.
No, he's never let anybody in his bedchambers. I broke in, don't you see? He didn't put your portrait back on display. It's always been there, ever since you left. So, Mother, why do
Well,
you
if you've
suppose he
only
would do
been
that?
okay, so is it like okay, it's a story, right? But I'm talking back to it. I, I mean, do we know? Right? I don't think that we know that um, that he only put it up once she left. But I guess if she doesn't know about the portrait, but oh my god, maybe he like got it commissioned and it was going to be like a surprise or something. Um, I don't know. Do you guys see where I'm coming from with this though? Because like he says it's always been there, but then he says ever since you left, which I guess just like because she would have seen it if it was out before she left, I guess, and then she would know like what he's talking about. Um, I mean that whole part of it thought that like he tricked her to into staying there, you know. So when that's the basis of that relationship, I feel like that's like screwed. That's a screwed dynamic like from the get go. Like okay, it wasn't like coercive, right? But like if you're a deity and like someone visits your realm and then you entrap them without like and like she's a goddess, like she's a deity as well, but she's just like young and compared to him, right? Percy Jackson kid moment. Anyway,
Because he.
moving on.
Because he loves me still. Is that what you want me to
I
say?
don't think that's what he's not trying to lead you to say anything. He's trying to get you to realize like you mean something to him. You also mean something to Zagreus, having the absentee the parent proxy of Nyx as his mentor. Um, I don't know. I mean, can you even imagine like what he would be like if she had stayed and developed? Like, to me, it appears that like she can't like the combination of who Hades is at his core and who Persephone is at her core. Despite those two things being like in harmony with one another, it's like the things on the outside of that, like the other parts, other facets of the whole situation. Yes, I'm overthinking, and I'm fully aware of it.
Have you ever loved him yourself?
I bag. I really maybe this is why I stopped playing Hades because I was like, plus I like being able to choose. I'm used to RPGs, so like usually it's not all bad choices or choices that appear bad. Could be considered unusual. Okay, one sec.
All I really wanted was to leave Olympus. I didn't exactly abscond. I doubt I had much of a choice, but I went willingly. Perhaps Zeus knew how I felt and thought he was doing me a favor. As for Hades, I grew to love him, yes. He always gave me my space.
Yeah, I don't know. Didn't quite right with me. And then Zagreus, it's like he's the product of a union that isn't exactly like in line with things. Like if that so he, like I don't what I was getting at with the Zagreus thing is like he is due to who his two parents are. He is always going to be like exist like with the two eyes of different colors, and the these two highly like powerful poles of like who she is at her core and who Hades is. Like on some level they love each other, sure. Maybe like she grew to love him, but she wasn't that grown.
Won't you, uh, won't you please talk to him? Or visit Cerberus again, or Nyx?
Oh my goodness,
As
excuse
for
me.
Olympus, surely all of you can figure something out.
Won't you talk to him or visit Cerberus or Nick? Oh man. And it just sucks. He's like, he's lived like most of his life like feeling like an orphan. He finally finds his mother. His mother won't come back to the underworld with him. But in a way, see here, it's like she kind of has. I mean, she's got things under control, right? So, like, yeah, it would really take a lot um, to try and convince her to, like, I don't know, because that's not. You can't just pack up a garden in your suitcase, you know. You can't pack all of those baskets. I mean, not that you would need them, but like, my point is, she spent all this time building this like lovely garden and like nurturing these plants, and then like I wish she could just be a little firmer with Zagreus, like, and point out that like she's been working on this and making things happen on her own. Like, but I'm looking at it from an outside perspective, and I am definitely overthinking, and I know that. But that's the premise of this whole monologue I'm going on. The, the like it feels in a way like she still feels like the same uh, age as when she got taken into the underworld, or like went to the underworld and got like temporarily entrapped. So, like, I don't know. If it were me in Demeter's shoes, though, I'd, I mean, I'd probably just start where once Zagreus comes up the first time, right? Then we have that talk. He's like, my dad's still like, and then he wasn't even on the whole. Oh, my dad still has feelings for you on the first visit. He was. I seem to remember that like he was just so excited to see her and like got overwhelmed with how many questions he really had and wondered about, and so overwhelmed he couldn't even choose one like to really ask and receive an answer before he gets like this. He's kind of in pain because his domain is the underworld. At the same time, I'm kind of considering like, and this is yeah, I know I'm in like fan theory territory, but I'm thinking part of what binds Zagreus to the underworld is the vestment, because she was saying like, yeah, I didn't like those clothes, they didn't suit me, and she's not of the underworld. So to me, I'd say it was the clothing. Yeah, but like for him to come back up and still, I don't know. I feel like he just fought his way back up through the underworld and but didn't really like make a plan for what to do once he got out of it. And so like now because he's not got a clear like won't she like he doesn't have a plan of like what he really wants her to do. He just kind of has like the he expresses like this array of like emotional but naive thought that like armchair psychology, he like that the wounded inner child in him, and that's fogging, clouding his ability to perceive and be in touch with reality. And like here, so the reality is, if he wanted to stay on the surface, like maybe he could work on that. Anyway, this is only like what the ninth time. Yes, I had 8 clears with Bo, and then this is 9 with Varatha, and we've talked to her 8 times before. It's crazy to me that 9 conversations deep, we're having this like minute of a like this bigger things. If I were Demeter, I'm writing letters, I'm preparing things. If I'm Zag, I'm making a plan to like smuggle basically traffic Demeter back into the underworld like as a surprise, but also like an effort of goodwill. Because here's the thing: so Hades being his father, the thing about that is like what I like about the boss fight is it shows you how like especially since I did it with Varatha, um, like he sees Zagreus as like a worthy challenger, at least from the because he didn't this time he didn't say like I will strike you down or like whatever his other catchphrases are or any number of other things he could have said. What he said was, "I wonder who will die this time," and I feel that there's truth in that. So going a little further on that tangent and the clothing and Demeter, I think there is a way for Demeter to stay in the underworld, despite it not being her realm, where she is or her without like she'd be outside of her domain. Um, but she would like she could put on like underworld vestments. Like I'm proposing Zagreus. Like if he just changed out of his clothes, Demeter could make him clothing from her domain and leave it near him, like near that entrance, right? Or even, just close to her, like this little hut she has, so that he could stay a little longer and talk about it. I think, like, but the thing is, she's happy just doing her own thing. I don't think it really clocks for her how much it means to Hades. Because he's alone down there. And there's no, like, there's no light. He just handles hell, manages it, like, day in and day out. Like, that's the little spark that keeps him going is that portrait of Demeter, is that, like, memory of a time when someone was there for him, even if like they were only there for 6 months out of the year because he had fooled them into it. Like that's really sad. Like that he felt that was necessary, even right. But at the same time, like the story is kind of weird because it's like an older, typically masculine god, and then this younger, typically feminine god, deity, god, goddess. Um, I just bringing or visit Cerberus again or Nyx. So it's like those that Cerberus to him, like that's the family pet, right? It because they don't really have like a dog. So of course Cerberus is like the family hound. Um, Cerberus and Nyx are like it's like he was raised by like step parents or like you know father-in-law or something, you know, or I don't know, father-in-law doesn't make sense, does it? I don't know, all that in-law versus aunt, uncle, choice removed, first, second, I don't know. I used to know, but other things have overwritten that memory. Like, oh man, so I guess I like RPGs because then at least I have a degree of influence over the story, and I can like help the character. It feels like be like let's make the choice that's better for this reason because it you know but thinking about it more as like she was a young deity, he's like next to like the chthonic like unknowable deities, he's that last stop before total oblivion and like primordial chaos. I don't know, it doesn't seem like she would be so absorbed in her day to day that it wouldn't be possible for her to think about like ways to try and accommodate him. But I don't know. She's like, isn't she like? Sorry, I said Demeter earlier, didn't I? Persephone. Um, like the like she's not a goddess of strategy. She's not a goddess of wisdom. But doesn't she deal with like fertility and like the the essence of life giving, life bringing? Um, like, is she not advanced enough with that to try and express it in different ways? Not advanced, not well studied enough. Because I mean, like, I don't know. And how would a god's power even work? Because in Greek myths, we don't really, or in mythology, we usually don't see like deities developing power across time. They're usually pretty static as far as like, and it'll often seem to me like they're just like interdimensional department heads of the various things. I was gonna mention earlier on that Athena run. It was, I'm glad it's Athena and not Ares because it's like you pray to Ares if you want to fight, if you want there to be war. But I mean, you would pray to, or you would devote yourself to either. Um, I mean, there's what is it, Nike, goddess of victory, or Athena, goddess of wisdom, as it applies to like battle strategy. Um, so, well, I had my tea. I've been sipping. I know my myths. I know what I know, but I don't know anything else other than what I do know, which is not an insignificant amount. But this is interpretation. This is just, and yeah, it's a huge tangent, but it's on my mind, and I feel like yapping about it, so I'm yapping about it. Because, like, ultimately with stuff like this, I just have to write it off as like a plot device. I think I'm so used to playing RPGs and like open world environment games that try and give you a myriad of options to approach a problem that when I am suddenly bottlenecked into you must make this choice or else, that I feel I've been robbed of my agency as a player, and it doesn't ever really seem to benefit the plot. And like, shouldn't so he should have some type of like hybrid blood too. He doesn't have. There's no human blood, and he's not a demigod. He's a full god, right? Because the two parents are deities, so he's a deity himself. But he's just sitting as prince because he was raised in the underworld and raised mostly with, again, Cerberus, Nyx, right? Because Hades is off being like, but also Hades is kind of like sulking that she would go away. Also, who's gonna have the hard talk with Hades about that wasn't okay? It cannot happen again. Um, and third of all, you're sulking over like this is it's like the deity equivalent of giving her a roofie and like taking her home. Oh, you ate 6 pomegranate seeds. Now you're bound to the underworld for half of your entire, half the year, forever, because we're immortal. Like, like I feel like he had to have known it would be serious. It would not be taken well. How could that be taken positively at all? Like, oh, it's so wonderful that, and this is like with many question marks in parentheses, so wonderful that um he's like basically locked the doors on me for half the year, and I have to be here because I was presented a table with a feast and like being a goddess of like the daughter of Demeter. So it's almost like she takes the fertility for granted, but then other people, not other people, Hades specifically, who don't have like as lush, as fertile, as not like diverse, but diverse in like an ecosphere sense, right? She's got all these plants, these fruits. She's got her little hut and everything here. Um, and it's like for her, this is normal for there to be abundance. But Hades is, the lord of the dead and the cold, cold underbelly of existence. So to him, maybe it feels like, well, it's a no-brainer that this would be a trap. You know, I don't think he even gets that. Normal people don't think that way. He's not even gods don't really need to be thinking that way. But he's so used to managing hell that he never really like treated Persephone as like an equal or someone who would become, of like they're in different departments. It's apples to oranges. The truth is they would complement each other very well if there was not like a magical binding at the heart of it all. Much less a magical binding that was perpetrated by one of the two parties, right? That's one hell of a power imbalance, let alone the fact that, you know, she's she was moving into his domain, right? and he's not leaving his domain to go be with her the other half of the time. So that's like, I'm not going to say interesting, but imbalance. That's one person giving more effort to that relationship and happening. In a way, though, maybe it was her own. Just okay, this has happened to me, and she just accepts it and allows the fertility, and the harvest to come forth in the underworld. But I don't think that happens in a good way if the premise is that she is trapped. And ooh, that gives me a really interesting thought that like her shadow, her underworld like stealth, you know, in those garments and everything. Like, so I don't necessarily like think pictures or paintings like steal your soul, but I think you can capture a bit of someone's essence in art without robbing them of any of their essence, of course. Just that you can create a work of mimicry. Um, so it's like she is the source of the lava and the brimstone and the uncountable wretches, the harpies. Um, it's just a thought. Anyway, let me advance the dialogue.
I just don't know, my son. Olympus is behind me, and the underworld.
And so she's just like
I
totally a
can't
black
imagine I
sheep.
would be very welcome there after
Like
all
she
this
doesn't
time.
belong where she's from, but she also doesn't belong where she's last been. I mean, she's made herself this little, carved out this niche for herself of having just this like kind of what is it called? I don't even know. Like, oh, verdure. Sorry, greenness, fertility, harvest. I guess not harvest because that's like Demeter, but verdure is like the lush green canopies, right, and everything. So in a way, I imagine like then all the lava rivers and the you know anything that is still spewing forth, like spilling forth out in abundance, but not in an overworld sense, in an underworld sense. The lava and brimstone, or like a river of skeletons. Um, a thought. It's a thought. I just don't know. Olympus is behind me and the underworld. I cannot imagine I would be very welcome there after all this time. I think Hades would let her back in gladly if it weren't also for the fact that he doesn't want her to leave again. I think bro is cooked. I think, yeah, there really isn't, especially after what he did. Like, there just isn't, like, okay, so they're getting back together because they had a kid together, and that kid is like so wounded and feels so abandoned due to like this lack of a mother figure in his life. But really, it's no. He wants to know who his mom actually is and meet her. I think that's the seed of it. But he's kind of expanded that volition, expanded that desire to a point where it doesn't make sense, and that's because of his wound. His psychological scars surrounding the absentee motherhood. And if she doesn't feel like she would be welcome, I feel like the underworld is a place where that would just haunt her the whole time, and she would be seeing like they'd be trying to freak her out basically, like they can smell fear. I'm like she can reassure herself all she wants, But if she's scared, she's scared. Like period. End of story. And rightfully so. That she should be a little wary of the place where she got like magically bound, at least to which she was magically bound at that time. And so, like, and younger too, because here they depict her as like, somewhat older. I don't know. Do you guys know how gods age? I'm not really sure. So this is like anywhere from 40 to 40 million years old, if you ask me. Interesting though, because a lot of Zeus was known for like transforming either, I want to say himself, or like the the earthly women that he would sleep with, like into animals. Like, wasn't that the story of Io? Was a naiad, a water nymph? Um, and Zeus had stepped down from Mount Olympus, and they had a thing, Zeus and the water nymph, and uh, what's her name? Hera. Hera finds out about it, and she goes to like knight the lady, but he's turned her into like a sacred cow, so that it would be wrong for Hera to kill the woman that he just cheated on her with. Um, so like the Greek myths are not like simple things by any stretch of the imagination. And this story, we're dealing with like, I guess you could call this historical fiction, but it's kind of like mythological fiction. I don't read a lot anymore. I guess that's probably a genre though, like mythological fiction. At least since like, Percy Jackson. But I guess you'd just call that fantasy. The reason I'm saying this is mythological fiction because there's a culture and a culture's mythology behind this whole story that it largely borrows the details of who they are from. Even though we have this new character, Zagreus, that I don't really know, I don't think he exists in myth. Like, I never encountered that, but maybe there was, like, you know, some obscure book or reading, or frankly, doesn't even need to be obscure, right? Maybe I just missed it. But I'm pretty sure Zagreus like doesn't exist in Greek myth. So I'm calling it historical or not historical. So historical fiction though. That's a genre. That's like where it's like, well, what if a certain set of circumstances has happened, and it's like modern Earth, except these 3 to 5 things are different, and all the ripple effects from that. It's a good way as a story writer to create like a fresh premise while still keeping it largely familiar and grounded. Because the moment you go into high fantasy, sci-fi, I feel a lot of stories struggle with their internal logic, with their internal dynamics of how those things are working out. And you end up with a lot of moments like Doctor Who, I think there's a bunch of they want this screwdriver here, and that's that. Um, so they'll be keeping things like out of reach, or like, oh yeah, it was. Well, no, even though Rose isn't a doctor, she gets one so that she can save him, and then 3 seasons later, they come up with a real reason for why. But okay, one sec. I gotta grab a towel. I just spilled my tea. Like all over the Zoom. Or, one sec. Be back. sit down and leaned me cushion as I'm seated. Me also. Oh my goodness. I just like actually no, I'm gonna make another early enough. 35 o'clock. Shoot. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so no, I mythological fiction. I know I'm always making for little more specific things like that. Like, okay, in anthropology, you have a concept known as antagonistic coevolution, where two species like are so like snakes that snakes became venomous because of like having to fight because the venomous ones survived fighting non-venomous things or whatever. It's kind of like that. Well, and then but that's only antagonistic. That's only one trying to kind of outpace the other. There isn't actually you know, protagonistic coevolution like symbiosis and how symbiosis develops over time, over generations of evolution. Um, anyway, so calling this like mythological fiction is it makes sense to me, and I hope I've explained it well enough that it makes a bit of sense. It doesn't have to fully make sense, just enough though. But, so anyway, it just it's like you trained with the sword, you trained as a warrior, you're a god, you talk to Nick, you're like communing with the chthonic deities, but it's all centered around this inner child that's wounded, fixating on the point of the mother who left and trying to get her back. But here's I'm feeling like it's almost like Hades like that's the for that to be something that he would hate Zagreus to do. So that Zagreus does it because Hades, a bit of him, is in Zagreus. So it's almost like Hades playing his son as a pawn to return Persephone. He wants her, and to make it seem he has no hand in it. That is totally fascinating. I haven't beat the game. I don't have like spoilers for it. Yeah, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna theorize and be totally wrong. In the meanwhile, everyone else is playing Hades too, and I'm over here psychoanalyzing Agrius. Hades, but I don't know. How do you get that good at fighting and training and everything, and you can't apply your mind to the emotional concept? Like I just feel like he's not applying his mind to the emotional concepts that are underlying the whole thing, which are highly complicated. Like she left and she just kind of moved on, but she's doing it. And that's growth and that's change, but that's an independent growth, change, building. For Hades, he never like him having the portrait of her in the underworld clothing, that like like that for one. Like, she told you she didn't like those clothes, probably, and like, but that's still his favorite way for her to be. And there's no flexibility. And the other part is, like I said earlier, why is Zagreus not trying to just like he wants mommy and daddy to be back together? That's and that's so naive because mommy and daddy both are such such a level of deity that they are best managing their own realms independently of one another, rather than the Lord of Death being present in the Garden of Eden, you know, and vice versa, that the gardener should not be in the world, in the underworld of fire and brimstone. Like they're not the environments that they are both naturally habitate aren't suitable to the other. Like if I'm Zagreus, I'm praying for what is it, Iris, and Hermes to make it easier to go back and you can hang out with mom and be at her place. You can go back. You can pass some letters between them if they want to course. You could ask Iris to do it. But the reason, so Zagreus, right. Zagreus has to be kept a secret. So Zag can't really go to Olympus. But at the same time, they all know, don't they? I should have had because I can't remember. I think they were hiding him at first because they wanted Zag to be able to grow up and be whatever he was going to be. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think that's enough overthinking on this. Anyway, I'm talking about it a lot. It's frankly, it's scintillating. It's I like thinking about these things in detail. The only thing that's bad is it's gonna bug me now for the rest of the game, unless this game has a really good ending. And it's probably gonna make me 100% the game if I want to get the good ending. Um, oh yeah, you didn't get the secret item in every room or whatever. It's always something. Well, we're not an RPG, but it's got a pretty story. Kind of anyway, that just something about it doesn't seem fully worked out. What is the naivete though? Is so when he's been training, then he's been fixating on that like that wounded child who wants his mother back. So that's why he hasn't matured. At least to me, because he basically just breaks out of the house of Hades to find his mom. And okay, let me just you say the him seeing the gods along the way. It's but had they heard about him? I don't think they had, but they all kind of talk to him after a little bit, like they know him, which I get. Nyx knows. Nyx raised him in darkness. Um, I don't know. The story just isn't clicking for me. I guess because they're gods, they're deities. I, use the thing you're good at and make that the solution somehow if that's possible. Like you're gonna tell me the goddess of verdure has no way to offer life force to Zagreus? Zagreus is half her. He should be able, he should be compatible with that realm's energy. So is it the underworld clothes? Is it the fact he was raised in darkness? What? There's something I don't like about the fact that he can't exist in his mother's realm, but he can exist in his father's realm. And I don't raised in the underworld. I think I know that. I But like, if as he was exiting hell, he left the armor and the armament and then entered, and like, Persephone could have garments ready at the entrance for him. So I don't know. And Zagreus doesn't seem to have an innate ability. Like you'd think it would be something involving like transmutation, maybe, because you've got one parent who's death and the other one who's very much grounded in death, and the other one is very much about life. He maybe. No, I didn't just hear this. Yeah, and the two eyes as well, right? And the fact that each of them are like purely the one color, and like, okay, so heterochromia is like being a real thing, and that's how it works. I think confuses that, like artistically. Um, but I just see it as like he has like two sides of himself with that are polar opposites that come from polar opposite places. But him being the embodiment of that specific just intersection power. Like the fact that he exists as that offers this opportunity to like not I don't want to say like join the two realms, but like it's almost like what he should do is like try and figure things out on how he could using his combination of his mother's and father's, and then what if that were like the next step above limbo, you know? And so Darius allows that realm to be connected, but then Persephone allows that realm to be distorted and lush. And I think this, the myth metaphor kind of falls apart because you're dealing with such an X factor, and I just don't know. So let me get through the rest. Oh, that's it.
You are the
But you are
queen.
the queen. Yeah, that's Hades talking, right? It's as much of that's Hades talking as it is that's
Yeah,
the
you
part of him that like really buys into this whole idea that Persephone belongs in hell. Persephone never belonged in hell. She was trapped, spellbound like eternally by the Lord of Death. Because what? Because he had like a crush on her? Because he wanted to have a power trip? So like I've never really like. It's unfortunate that that's the basis of this entire game. Um,
Don't you see, boy? You are trapped.
like, because I'm thinking if she just offered Zagreus like her hand, or like tried to hold Zagreus's hand as he gets taken back by the river, then she with him, and because he has like half her essence, they can hold him. She usually can't because it's not her domain, right? And then okay, she's in the underworld, so she could wear the underworld garment to like belong in the world. And when she's not in the underworld, before she leaves, she can shed them. You know, man, I just ruined this game for me. I but it was just bugging me so much. Like I go up there like 9 times, and you guys haven't figured out like how to just bring her a letter, you know? You know, you're wasting time. Uh, ugh.
Father loved her, didn't he? Mother, I mean. Faith like that. He's just stubborn enough to hold
I,
on to the idea of her, isn't he?
I don't think the Lord of
But was
Death
she sorry
really
for her life?
understands love, and like maybe that's the major malfunction here. Because not only is it like, oh, Hades having like a fucked up perspective on relationships and love and like what is okay because he's used to underworld shit, but like her then Persephone also having no other concept of an interpersonal or interdeity relationship, and so her like baseline is totally screwed in terms of how she then looks at relationships from that moment forward. She's a lot more hesitant, and rightfully so, because like the but is Hades trustworthy? Not really. But it's not fine. He's not a trickster. And what he did was manipulative and very sly, very like under the table. I've never liked her. It's like I think she understands love well enough to like say, for anybody to say that um, he loves her. Like if we were talking to Aphrodite, right? Like ask Aphrodite, who's the goddess of love, and can look at her like big web of all the relationships and like stare into Hades' soul or whatever, and tell if he's still in love with her, because he clearly has an attachment, but an attachment is not necessarily love. Honestly, maybe it's a trauma bond. Right? So so many, and these touch with these gods and goddesses when he gets the boon, right? And they have a little bit of chatting. Um, and he just doesn't make any use of them. Like they always have something to say that's somewhat relevant. Why don't we have a little talk with Aphrodite when she crops up, you know? Or like, or there would be messengers, at the stops in between floors. I feel there's such a multitude of ways in the narrative they could have addressed this, and like they really just doubled down on this whole idea of like okay, and I haven't even seen like a full playthrough game, so I have no clue. Oh, okay. Does Persephone end up as the Queen of Hell, or alternate paths, endings? I don't know. It would piss me off if Persephone just ends up being down here in the end. It really would. Um, it's not her place. She's not meant to be there. She spent all this time enriching her domain, only for like the wayward son of the Lord of Death to like to masochistically lead that she return. It's like you're putting yourself through so much, Zagreus, and like there's no reason. Like if she won't budge, Or, you know, 9 times I've been up there, man. I was thinking we get a letter. Here, I finally got wise and decided to collect my thoughts in anticipation of your arrival. Because you've been here 8 previous times. I'm salty about this. Like, okay, no, give me the book. I'm writing the book now. Yeah, no, give me the pen. Give me the pen. Put it down. Okay, here's what here's what the story is. This just it doesn't add up. You know, it really doesn't. How could it add up? You know, I feel like it adds up when Zagreus really figures out where he belongs, how he belongs. Like, it could be even Zagreus then becomes like sort of that in between type realm that Persephone has enriched. He's half. He has. He's half. He has enough that ability to maintain it, even if he couldn't have created it. He can maintain that realm and its connection to the underworld. So, I mean, that's how. So that's how this should end. So I'll play the rest of the game probably, but I think you have to do like a million clears, and you buy certain items and stuff,
Your father was different with
and
Persephone
so Nyx
to some extent.
like just
He has always been
close
as
to him, and
warm
they had
yet
discussions and stuff.
Her lightness. It affected even him, I think. And he knows that he was better with her than without.
You don't want to know, and like if that's what you feel you have to do, then you got to do it. Like comma, but like the weird part is chaos. The chaos doesn't even say like you're tampering with the natural order. Stop it, right? Um, Chaos doesn't say anything like that. Chaos supports him, which makes me feel like the chthonic deities and beings are using Zagreus as a pawn to actuate their will upon gods to whom it would be improper for them to do so. Right? If Hades goes and tries to abduct Persephone again, they're going to smite him. All the gods. They're going to be like, that is not okay. Categorically, once, enough. And she got away. But for you to do it twice is beyond forgiveness, beyond comprehension. And like, you're the lord of the underworld. You're not the god of love. So where is that going to come from? It's not going to come from a place of love. It's going to come from his place of loneliness and emptiness. And that's something she's not going to be able to fix, the fact that she was gone. And so if he can't nurse that wound, there's no point. There's literally no point. And he's not a healing type of guy. This Hades fellow, right? Not even in the slightest.
A lot of pressure on Mother to fix all his failings, but it sounds as though she cared for him as well.
Like, so I feel like he's not solution oriented enough. Because part of the deal with the underworld is, you got Sisyphus just doing the rock thing. You got, this guy, yeah, he gets his It's a lot of just like all torture devices. Like that's his world. That's what he knows how to manage. And so, like what he thinks is romantic is twisted, perverse, and at the same time as yes, understandable because of who he is, etc. You also have to go, and so like other gods then need to intervene, and because also Hades feels like he's like it seems at least like he holds himself back from trying to get her back. So does he feel like Persephone's gone forever, that they never really had anything? Because she wanted her instead of a sickly. can't even like express the underworld is an inappropriate place for Demeter. It wouldn't be the underworld, right? If she expresses her fertility and her creativity and enriches that realm, the souls of the damned will no longer feel that wretched existence, right? But that, going on that line of thought puts you on like this through line of, well, why are these ceaseless torture things really necessary? Why do the Greek mythology writers, like how did we as a species arrive at? Yeah, that's reasonable. That sounds about right. Because we have to imagine these beings, right? So where does that come from? Right? They're like it's a reflection of mankind. Like we see these aspects in ourselves, and maybe so this is just saying like seeing a god's cruelty in myth is really meant to serve as a device to tell you that is a device to force you to consider, would this ever be a reasonable decision, to like entrap somebody who you wish to be your wife? No, that's a bad approach to beginning a relationship. And you don't necessarily just think about that unless you're like highly practiced in having to plan every little thing out. But so let's say that that's like the reason why Hades is manipulative is he's the lord of the underworld. He is representative of like the shadow of the ego, like your desire, what you want, and what you're willing to do to get what you want, even if it means harming other people, even if it means having to be the person who cracks the whip and tells the harpies it's time to peck out this guy's. They aren't hungry, right? Or even if they're tired of doing it. And because Hades isn't even, right? So you like Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades meant to be like the rulers of like realm, but there are the chthonic deities, like primordial chaos, which lies beyond all of the three realms, whose power exceeds that of any individual being besides their own. Like I think the Thanatos, I think, is like the mega Grim Reaper. Like he sends you to oblivion, not just the underworld, but oblivion. But I don't think that Thanatos like could send chaos to oblivion. I think chaos exists within oblivion, and to them, like the whole thing is just playing out, and maybe they're just watching and seeing how it plays out, because the change that butterfly affects from Zagreus's decision and create so much chaos. Yeah. But like the rulers of heaven, earth, and hell are pawns to chaos. It's I just I remember why I stopped playing this game. Because every time I get okay, yes, it's a fun game. You do the runs, you dodge, you get cool weapons, and you kill the bad guys, and it's awesome. It's fun, right? And I'm not just like saying it's fun. I enjoyed this game. It's like challenging, not too tough. You can spend time on it. Doesn't they're not. It's not like getting all cash grabby or whatever. And there is a lot of story. I enjoy games with story. Evidently I do not enjoy stories which like which are so close to being such a better story in terms of happily ever after. Like, I don't know. At some point, like, because you realize someone had to write the story. So, like, in The Tortoise and the Hare, like, someone was just trying to make a point that, like, diligence will outweigh, basically mania is what they're talking about, like rapid bursts of energy. That isn't necessarily true. I feel like a lot of, like, neurodivergent people especially have become really good at, like, deliberately hyper-focusing on something for a period of time, and then, like, and getting through it, and then that's it. Now, obviously, mania is not, like, super simple thing, and don't take this as psychological advice, but, you know, I think they're, like, it's like, yeah, we all kind of think differently about life, even if it's only minutely, and we approach life, you know, differently, things happen differently because of that. But Zagreus being, like, the kid of, like, the kid god of two gods who have gods above them is, like, it's like he's born to, like, have the chaos buck stop at him rather than at either of his parents or for those primordial deities to simply, like, get better and figure it out and not have to make this whole structure of, oh yeah, Zeus and he always cheats on his wife, and so yeah, and there's a lot of moon. And also because then you make that a myth, and then you know, and then a man who's read the myth cheats on his wife and, like, is like, well, Zeus did it, so it's okay. And Zeus lied to his wife, and Hades hid a child, you know, from the other gods. But it should never be an excuse. And also, the point is, like a fable, you know, it's a myth. The point is the general concept. So that's also why I'm trying to take a step back from who Hades is, who Zagreus is, and more what they represent. That Zagreus is the intersection of, like life and non-life, life and unlife. That he bears that cross, and I think he's, you know, he was raised in the underworld. Basically, I'm proposing that he's, like, psychologically conditioned and physically entrapped to a degree to believe that he belongs in that underworld, and to have his convictions swayed by artifacts, myths, stories, rumors, legends, which are constructed, which precede his existence, and could easily have been the seeds of chaos sown into the future in some grand flap of butterfly wing. So that's, like, why I'm not thrilled with this story and the way it's going. I'm not saying it needs to be better. It is what it is, and I'll try and just get through this. Okay. Oof.
In my recent audience with Nyx, lad,
I have. Chaos.
Oh my god, and Nyx is chaos.
At first I was a little worried.
He was raised, you know, by, like,
responsible for all
Kid
creation.
Chaos.
They seem all right.
Even though Nyx is like, oh, the night, the
Haven't been
stillness,
talking for a while,
stars,
though.
right? Well,
You don't know what
that's
happened there, do you?
darkness, right? And it's interesting, okay? Nyx is wearing, like, a triple moon symbol, like, for a goddess. And so what it reminds me of this person. Hecate. And Hecate was the goddess who first searched for Persephone when the gods discovered she was missing from Mount Olympus. Hecate led the search party into hell with a lantern Um, so like part of me is feeling like I don't know, like Nyx is not replacing the role of Hecate, but is like assuming the role of Hecate as it would be within the underworld. Right? It's not always going to be constructive magic or like making things go perfectly or like magically enabling them to be abundant or whatever. And by the way, okay, isn't like you've got certain gods that are just like, yeah, so you're like Lord of the Sea and you're like so you manage that. So that's what you do and you have like water powers. Um to just have like magic under one deity, yeah, that seems cracked. Like single handedly, that's got to be the most powerful being. Like on a par with chaos, I would say. And I mean, also like if you look at witchcraft, there's chaos magic. So does Hecate take chaos magic, or does chaos use chaos magic? I think Hecate does. Like, and so if Hecate can use chaos for her magic, Hecate is like, then pushing the first domino to chaos. And then everybody's under chaos, including like Nyx, the obscurity, the darkness, and Hades, and Poseidon, and Zeus, and every other god, deity, goddess, demigod, and all the fauna and flora. And you don't like so yeah, chaos is like supposed to be responsible for all creation. But I don't know if Hecate learns like I don't know. Maybe Hecate doesn't really talk with chaos, right? And so that's why. Um, but I don't know. You ask me, that's what I think. I think that like it's almost like Nyx. She's kind of it's like Hecate is disguised as Nyx. And that's just like an offshoot of her being, like a little finger puppet that exists in Hades' realm. To kind of, pull some strings on Zagreus so that he feels a certain way, so that he does a particular thing, so that he takes certain actions in a particular order, basically ordering him and making it appear as if it's chaos. Okay, next, what's going on? I know a little bit. I think Nyx, she, and Chaos, they just slowly drifted apart.
Slowly drifted apart.
No animosity. It happens between parents and children.
And once such
So
ties are severed, they cannot always be restored. Especially among primordial
this
gods
is
as
what
old as time, I suppose.
I'm thinking is like, so them slowly drifting apart. Also, Hades and Persephone should have been drifting apart, and it's like Hades just is like attached to her in some unhealthy way, and and it's like because he never really like gave her agency to choose whether she wanted to be with him or not. He tricked her into eating the food off the plate and staying forever, not forever, but but staying entrapped when she would have left if she could leave. So, like, I don't think Hades really appreciates the full power of like what fertility can do, like what fertility can bring. This is one of my points, like in real life, is like if everybody had enough food and water and shelter, would we ever really fight? Would there ever have been wars? Or would we all just be like able to have a discussion about whatever it is that is the trouble, um, without us going at each other's throats. Because at the end of the day, you know, we're not worried that this person is taking food off our plate or is going to take our homes away or is going to ruin our water supply because there is abundance, right? Like, abundance brings forth peace. So it's almost like Persephone couldn't stay in hell because hell would be too good of a place to be if she stays there because her presence alone enriches that environment, like to such a degree that it would no longer be suitable for the souls of the damned. Um, so I think Elysium, though, Greek underworld is a little different. It's not like seven circles of hell, like Dante's Inferno. Um, so Elysium, being that third realm, is no coincidence. That's like just below limbo, basically. I think is how it's usually described. And I think there's even there's a different term in Greek myth for limbo. Like, let me look. Mythology limbo. Greek mythology limbo might have some funny results. The Fields of Asphodel. There we go. I knew it. Yeah, I'm like limbo. Okay, yeah. So it's not a place of punishment, but rather a state of perpetual mediocrity, a gray area between the Elysian fields and the torment of Tartarus. Okay, so the way that this game shows you Asphodel, it seems a little more like Brimstone. But yeah, like, so if she stayed in hell, if she remained in the underworld, she's naturally going to emanate such a fertility, such a verdance, that really the only way any part of her essence can exist in hell is if it is exactly her shadow of, destruction and, you know, lacking and scarcity. And so it's almost like Hades, that's, I don't know. It's like, you guys not thinking about like how all you have to work together and it manages the realm, and then yes, we're like an hour deep overthinking that. It because it just bugs me. Anyway, so Hades has various sections. The Fields of Asphodel are like Limbo. Yeah, first circle of hell depicted as Limbo, where virtuous pagans or unbaptized infants. That's a very Catholic thing. While the Fields of Asphodel serve as a functional equivalent to Limbo, to note that the concept of Limbo as a specific theological doctrine is a later development, particularly relating to Christian thought and discourse. Okay, the Greek underworld had a more fluid concept of the afterlife with varying degrees. Okay, yeah, but there's like Dante's Inferno says there's varying degrees as well. Like, you just shoot mediocrity if you're really trying to have a decent afterlife. Because in like the fields of is it the Elysian fields? Yes. So that's it gets described the way it's described in Greek myth, at least as far as I've studied and read Greek myth, it's usually a lot more akin to like Valhalla, like a warrior's haven. And that's where I start to get really iffy on this. Because here's the thing: someone had to make up the myth, or they were inspired to record and disseminate this mythology, and it evolved over culture and time. Different people telling tradition. They were very big on tradition. And you had the wandering magician, storyteller archetype, as well as those who would reside like at temples and be like clerics of a specific deity. But honestly, were we there? No. So like I don't know. And I'm not saying it didn't happen. Okay, I'm just saying like we weren't there. So put a pin in it and take it with a grain of salt because we don't really know why these myths like who's like yeah mythology has to exist. We have to make up all these stories. No, I feel like mythology comes about because you have all these stories, all these things happening in life, and it's like oh this story is like a way to make sense of nonsense. But all you're doing is making a different kind of nonsense, and never mythology never acknowledges its own dogmatic existence because that is just such a like for granted base level of the mythology in many cases. And so the reason I take issue with Valhalla and Valhalla type, oh the warrior's haven, because you have a lot of countries like the divine right of kings has, was historically has been used to excuse like awful decisions on the part of a monarch or a monarchy or even an oligarchy that there is a natural order that these people should rule over those people, but nothing really explains why. It's kind of just like yeah, a king has the divine right to rule over his people because he does. So that's dogma, especially when you don't give an explanation for it. Oh, well, he's blessed by Zeus? Oh my god, okay. But then that's just like striking fear in them. Oh my god, he's gonna hit me with a lightning bolt because he's blessed by Zeus. And so, like, this whole divine right thing gets very foggy when there's an element of, like, especially saying, oh yeah, so you can do what you want, but you're gonna go to hell and you'll be tormented for eternity if you do. So do what I tell you to. It's coercion. It's psychological coercion. When it's not manipulation, it's coercion. And when it's not either of those things, it's you telling these warriors that if they fight valiantly, even if they die, they're going to go to the good place. It's never a bad place where the warriors go. Like, I've never heard of a single mythology where like, is it Brahma? Is it Allah? Is it Zeus? Is it capital God? Any of those. They're all like okay with warriors. When really, like, I feel like the Judeo-Christian God would not like murder in any capacity, and that should be punished or discouraged. But instead, it's like we so religion, mythology related, but also tied in very, very church and state. We're not really separated. They're entwined with each other. You have the clergy as an educated class when most people were not educated. And so, for the majority of human history, people have just been manipulated by things that could plausibly be true, but we have no way of knowing if they are in fact correct. And even if you're like, well, I had a near-death experience, and I saw the light, and this face talked to me and walked me through. I'm going to say, that's like your own psyche, your own psychology, giving you, like telling it to you in a way that you'll understand. That, like, sure, there were some things like, but the human form is like a marriage of the divine. This is my belief. because we are, so the world we live in exists with polarity. The very building blocks of our bodies, of our natural world, contain protons and electrons. Like on a scientific, like measurable way, the world is based in duality, and dualities cooperating with one another or repelling from one another. That there are polarities of attraction and disattraction. Okay, but do you notice in the human body, and we've evolved, right, from like four-legged creatures, right, or like mostly like ground walking, where they have more like four legs. But over time, that developed into like two forelimbs and hind limbs, and then man starts walking upright, and then we really do just have like you could like if you cut a person in half right down the middle, they have one of everything. Like you get a whole set. Anybody should be cutting anyone else in half, but my point is like we exist. The natural world in which our existence is grounded is like contains duality and polarity, and so I feel that the like if there is any essential role that mankind serves, like psycho spiritually, metaphysically, okay, then it is to reconcile those polarities and to exist as one self despite a dynamic of polarities. Despite the fact that the very building blocks and the ground you walk on and everything on God's green earth and up as far as space as we've seen is positive, negative, or neutral. And you go, oh, well, that's three things. Now, the neutral is balance. The neutral, so quantum physics now proposes, recently, in the last 20 years, that so we once could identify molecules, and then we found out that molecules were made of stuff, and we called them atoms. And that comes from a Greek word, atomos. A means non, and I believe tomos is like to cut. But the idea is it is non-divisible, that the atom is the essential building block. Then we found out that atoms are made up of things, and we didn't rename the atom. Okay? And what's worse, we actually figured out how to cut what should be uncuttable and to unleash devastation on such a grand scale by harnessing that power within a device for war. But my point is that now quantum physicists suppose that even these protons, even these electrons, even the neutrons, are themselves composed of subatomic, like, so you have the atom, it's subatomic particles. Subatomic particles are the proton, neutron, electron. This is 2 layers deep. This is all those little tiny spheres. And why are they spheres? You know, because they are just like, because of the balance of gravity. And the, as far as we've studied in space, the fabric of like space-time, it's really interesting because it seems that the fabric, the reality itself is actually tends toward expansion. That the forces of the universe, we gotta just assume that they're balanced, but somehow space is stretching. So how is that balanced? Well, probably by like black holes, right? So there's collapsing force and there's expanding force, which together allow all of this, you know, to happen. But getting back to the quarks and the subatomic particles, the idea is that a neutron is just made up of equal charge, right? So, and like a neutron is has an atomic mass, I believe, of about 1 AU, which I believe that's astronomical unit. I'm looking for like atomic weight. I forget what it's called, but a proton weighs 1. An electron weighs like 0.000, something, and a neutron also weighs about 1 of these units. So the idea is that a quark, like the quarks that come together, form one of these subatomic particles when their charge is like mostly negative, mostly positive, or in the case of the neutron, perfectly balanced between the dipolar forces which exist within the essential building blocks. I find it really fascinating because the I I have not really, I may have misunderstood, it may have gone over my head, but I have not really encountered in research any claim that a quark could exist as with a purely neutral charge, and that is really interesting. It's like so without the polarity, without the duality, there is nothing that can enter into existence or leave, then nothing would even exist at all. Like there's some being at nil charge is like universally, physically inconceivable. But to exist at balance between the polar forces is like the exact thing that gives way to radiation, which gives way to, so you have different, sometimes you guys ever hear like, oh, it's, you know, you hear it a lot with like in movies and stuff. They're talking about like, oh, it's uranium 235 or whatever. So the 235 part is a specific atomic weight because there are isotopes. So an isotope, we define a chemical substance, an element. An element is defined by the number of protons and electrons that it possesses. There is, there are, I'm sure, physical limits to how many neutrons can be stuffed inside of an atom. Um, but suffice it to say that you can have different numbers of neutrons, all the way down to, I think, 0 neutrons, potentially. Like what the what is it? I think hydrogen is atomic number 1, and it has an atomic mass of just over 1 because the proton weighs 1. I can't believe it's atomic unit because AU and astronomical unit. But anyway, it weighs. If you look at the periodic table of elements, you look at hydrogen, then it has a number at the bottom that says 8. It says 1. It says H, and then at the bottom it says 1 point some number of zeros, and then a very small value over 1. And you almost, I mean, for me, it begged the question, like, that seems ridiculous. Like, if you're going to go to like 7 digits, why don't you go further? I think it's there's actually a possibility that electrons can and protons could weigh slightly different amounts, but instead, like the natural order of the universe has decreed it that neutrons will instead exist, which are uh, subatomic particles with a weight similar to a proton, but possessing a neutral charge. Basically, to sum it all up, the going belief in like the quantum physics discussions that I'm trying to keep up with, I find it very fascinating. Um, they propose that the neutron exists at a a state of pure balance between forces, and that could be as strong as long as the forces within it are even, are equally matched. It will possess a neutral charge. So it's almost like neutrons are this dark matter, are this, you know, X factor of balancing the checkbook between like having an electron, like, because if you think about the other subatomic particles, then it's like, well, then for me at least, I'm wondering why does an electron weigh so little and a proton weighs so much? You know, and it seems to me that that this whole existence is, based upon like two polarities of existence coexisting and like novel methods, methodologies, and other like expressions of like genius which allow life as we know it to continue. But we never even realize it, right? And if we didn't have electron microscope, we definitely would not be studying any of this. And if we didn't have particle accelerator, you know, but I remember when when CERN starting the particle accelerator up, a lot of people were really nervous, and a lot of people thought, like, okay, so we've just opened the door to what exactly? And I didn't see a lot of fear mongering about it, and I was reading like Scientific American or something, Popular Science probably at the time, and they'd have an article every so often on it. And I didn't get a wormhole in my bedroom, so as long as it's not in my backyard. Um, but it seems like so if the force of life like were anything from the linear temporal perspective that most of us share as humans, meaning that we perceive time in just like within a physical form. But you guys, time sort of ebbs and flows in weird ways based on your state of being, your perception, state of mind. And of course, the physical body kind of underlies all of that. Like right now, I've had my tea, I've had my coffee, I've had a walk. Things are bubbling, percolating. But if I were more tired, I, then I'm maybe thinking about it a little differently. I maybe have a slightly different perspective or approach to explaining it. Um, but that doesn't alter the essential universal truth of like truly the this realm of physical existence is based upon two polar forces which balance each other out. Life and death, positive and negative. The quarks. And where does it all come from is really what we want to know. But I don't think we never, it's not that it could never be figured out. It's more that I feel science is missing the point. Okay, there is something innately beautiful and deeply grounding about understanding that while you do contain polarity, okay, and it can be scary because you can sometimes you ever have trouble making a decision and you can totally see why you would make either of those decisions. Do I want to go to the beach with my friends or do I want to like stay at home or hang out with someone else? Right, that's three, but exactly like stay at home versus go out. Let's say that's the polarity. One of those is definitely going to happen. I'm sure somebody's thinking, oh, well, you could do a third thing. And that's technically correct, but I feel like a lot of people would end up doing that third thing just so they don't feel like they are aligning themselves with either polarity of social, antisocial. Should I do this or should I do the exact opposite of this? And if the body really is, and I would argue many animal bodies, right? Because I'm pretty sure we're not the only uh, species on the planet with two primary hemispheres to the brain, and you actually see like the corpus callosum is the brain region which connects the right and the left sides of the brain. So when someone engages in like creative thought, I believe that's left brain activity, and more organized thought is like right brain activity usually. But that's like kind of outdated neuropathy, and it's highly simplified. Since then, we've been working a lot on identifying regions of the brain, isolating regions of the brain, figuring out what every region of the brain is responsible for and how it accomplishes that function. And that's mostly for the purpose of curing disease, right? Mostly for the medical science to advance to where we can assist uh, someone if they should become, you know, still aligned with a polarity or another, that like they would like cease to exist. Like if you're only ever hearing out one option and only ever saying one option, like you are not living fully as a human being. And I'm not just saying like that's because you don't like consider an alternate path. I'm saying that's because like I kind of believe in like a primordial chaos thing because we how did we get here? The humanity to civilization with all this technology and all this esoteric knowledge about our bodies and the physical world which we inhabit. Um, like we have such abstract concepts of this, and at the current moment, all this sort of coexists in a time where like many people are like studying a mythology in order like to seek like a higher truth, basically. Um, frankly, like if it, this is like a little Judeo-Christian and kind of Islamic as well, I suppose. This belief that like that there is a deity who brought forth mankind, and that begs the question why. But they never just say because God was bored, they made humanity. No, if anything, it's often the case that the claim is, oh, God made humanity in some Judeo-Christian His image. I believe that's in the Old Testament in Genesis, and so many of people have taken that to mean that, like, oh, then God steals, then God, uh, you know, that's more like humanity in its early stages of civilization, not understanding like sharing is caring, and if we all cooperate, we can bring forth a better world and a better life for everybody. In there is no innate need uh, to like sacrifice abundance. You know, it's just that certain methods of like screwing somebody over, it's like that brings someone else down. There's ways that we can all cooperate, and we can get the rising tide raising all ships, and everyone feeling like they have enough, and that like yeah, so I'll have enough no matter what like goes on, and we'll you know, but let's work on getting more for everyone. And it's not so that you can have more, it's so that can bring more life into the world. Like you can like have children and raise a family, and they can be fed and sheltered and like you're assured of this. Like this is sort of the dream that like is sort of a little bit poli-sci for me to say Jean-Jacques Rousseau, right? Political contract, social contract. Although truly that is like the basis of all society is people entering into an whether written, spoken, or simply like non-verbal but understood. You know, from the time the first man, was hunting a boar and saw another man doing the same thing, and thought, if I could kill this other guy and then kill the boar, and I'd have twice as much meat. But then I've killed this guy, and he's just like me, and I bet he's getting food for his family. So what if we work together and kill the boar, and he takes half and I take half, and maybe we take down another boar or something else, or I think actually the historically I think there is some evidence that woolly mammoths were hunted by like groups of hunters, and while like I'm sure we had a very rampant birth rate, but we don't literally reproduce like rabbits. The human gestation period is far too long, like for that to be realistic. And we don't know what it exactly was before. And I'd venture to guess that there was probably a lower gestation period. But humans, so mammals in general, have this trait of, so they're reliant for a longer time than like a bird. Mama bird is baby birding them, and she takes care of them. She teaches them to fly, and then they fly, and they go doing their bird thing. But mammals, and so you'll typically have like a mother who lactates, who can feed the child from her own nutrition. So the female body capable of like generating a nutritional substance, and yeah, like generating it like producing. We have like I believe it's called the mammary gland, but I don't know if that's actually what produces it. Now it's a gland, and so that's what makes me think that yes, that's what does it. Um, but yeah, so that's always been the thing with mammals has been we take longer to stop being children and start being adults. Um, but when we then do step into adulthood, we are like mammals in general, okay, but humans above other mammals, like that we are more like intelligent or capable in some way. Um, so what I'm getting at, though, going back to hunting the woolly mastodon or the woolly mammoth, um, I think there's like fossils and stuff of like many dead men, and so it's like they had a harebrained idea that like each of these guys, like across 10 families, right, that they took the fathers and the sons and all grouped together so that they could all try and take down this huge, like gargantuan, like even bigger than an elephant. I think they are, and elephants are like huge. Um, they are like huge. Depends on the elephant, I'm sure. But so that cooperation and the fear of betrayal is like a topic mankind has never really broached, never really openly discussed, because survival has been such a priority that, like, yeah, we're gonna hunt it together. Because what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna hunt it with you, and then like I'm gonna no, I can't take it down by myself, and then you guys are gonna get it, and then so I should be with you, and so it's been this very ruthless like enlightened self-interest kind of behavior where it looks like cooperation from a distance, but it's really a lot of individuals just doing what they think is best for themselves. And that means that, unfortunately, that also means psychologically. Like, uh, I think it's a great thing when people volunteer, but I used to work at Target, and people would volunteer at Target, working at Target, and they're not getting paid, and they get abused by the customers just the same, and like tossed around by the management. I'm sure, and it's great that that's what that person wants to do is help the community. I understand that. I would never try and convince them it's a bad idea. However, for a lot of people, I feel like that donating to the soup kitchen or finding a charity is some like excuse to keep participating in a game that they don't really want to play. That's the way they reconcile it. But all that does is perpetuate the paradigm. It doesn't change it, and it certainly doesn't address right because like the addicts, the homeless people who show up like are on their last limbs, like begging for food, change, because there's an animal inside of them that has such a will to survive. Okay, that finally their pride of individualism falls away, but only after they've gone totally destitute in many cases. Um, and so then, in and then the homeless get victimized because they're on the street and it doesn't look good. Because in the United States we don't have mental facilities anymore. At least not in California. And so nobody and I mean the patients were abused, right? It wasn't even a good setting when you had that. Uh, but now there's no setting and there's no place for them, and they get detained by police or arrested or like God knows what, or abused or murdered. So the idea that we can all stand independently of one another is a falsehood. The world did is built on cooperation. It is not built on ruthless competition. And the only reason we've gotten as far as we have as a society, as a globe, okay, as a society of humans, like just looking at the earth as many groups of like very large tribes of humans with their culture attempting to coexist. But right now, we're doing an awful job. Like, there's two major military conflicts going on that come to the top of my head, much less, the military conflicts of the last 100 years. Part of that acceleration in warfare is because of the extreme globalization of communication and the shorter, so we observe periodically shifts in art and literature, periods of literature. And if you look in history, that as communication and travel have advanced, the time of these periods drastically shortened to where the classical period of music was roughly 100 years. Now a fad in music, a phase of music, that takes up maybe a few years, maybe like 5 years, and then it's some years are like it's an in between couple of years, and it's just in between to the next thing it's going to be. Anyway, like the only reason the globe has gotten this far is because there are those people willing to sacrifice their time and and commit acts of service to people in need. Um, even if, unfortunately, that does end up perpetuating some of the worst parts of our society. And what I mean is, like, the fact that there are people who try hard to get homeless people like either housed or like out of the way, off the street. Those outreach type programs are incredibly valuable, but they are addressing a symptom rather than addressing the problem. And the problem at the end of the day is some people feel like they should have more than they have. It's greed, it's dissatisfaction. And it really seems to me that if if people took a good look around, there's so much to be thankful for. And I'm not just speaking about, your own life, the fact that we are alive in this like, this crazy metaphysical web of polarities and quarks and quantum physics and black holes are real. They're not made up. Black holes are real. Supernovas, eclipses. There's such a wide aurora borealis. Okay, like every natural phenomenon that you can think of, you witness these things and realize that is like I would have no idea what that is. I have absolutely no concept, and it would blow my mind if I didn't know what a solar eclipse was, and all of a sudden it gets blocked out, and then I'm going to write a story saying it's making a myth of the myth. It was kind of always meant to just be a story. I feel, and to be a story about that moment and record that moment in like an artistic, poetic way. And mythology and religion and all these other sources of like what what you might wish to be a source of a higher truth just get manipulated into a tool so that and the divine right of kings, okay, is like a perversion of this like idea of a merciful god. I know there's so okay, like, and I know that like I'm saying Judeo-Christian, but really there is a difference, and this is like a little more. I feel comfortable saying definitely the Christian God, you know, um, but the Old Testament has a lot of the almost a fear mongering, almost it's like barely removed from Islam, and like he who steals shall have a finger cut from his hand, an eye for an eye, and that's really unfortunate because there's so many teachings in Christianity which are about generosity, but it never really addresses. It puts it. It says Christianity basically says, "Oh, abundance is this miracle, this miraculous state, which is brought forth by something we don't understand." Have we not broken down like the science of our reality enough to simply get the world fed, get that taken care of, right? At the very least. And then, okay, if people are still like, they got some tangent they want to chase or whatever, right? Something that really drives them then. But the thing is, when you have people, psychological damage gets in here too, because you're not necessarily thinking with your right mind when you're in grief, when you're in pain. And that would be true if you could bring yourself to eat or if you couldn't. Um, that we do not always make the most wise decision. It's not necessarily our responsibility to make wise decisions. It's not anyone's one thing. But I, I personally, at least, am just concerned that the whole thing, this whole show, you know, of like global politics and countries and cultural individualism. It's great that every place is different, and it would be great if we could just let every place be different and be what it is. But instead, the world, because of this communication, uh, and because it comes in the form of like an internet device, which does not require that like you recreate an object, but with the materials of a given culture. For example, like pasta, right? Wasn't isn't the idea that the Italians got pasta from like the Chinese noodle? I don't think it was from Japan or Korea. I think it was the Chinese. And so then was it Marco Polo, right? Um, Comes back and they try to reinvent the wheel, and so they make it, but it's different because it uses what's native to that region. Because also they haven't figured out how to like not harness but like support life in environments outside of their natural habitat. But but you get royalty who, as a point of pride, began importing exotic plants, and with those come pests that are unique to those plants that might destroy all the other plants. And so, all for the egotistical desire of a ruler to demonstrate to visitors their supreme intellect, they have ruined the garden for everyone. Because, like, it was never about the divine right of kings. It was about wanting to have an excuse for other people to just do what they're being told to do. And for the barrier of education to be high enough that no one, for a long time, no one could even, like, yes, I'm hungry, but I'm going to steal bread. And your blood sugar is low and you don't get enough sleep and you work too much, your capacity for higher thought is absent in that instance. And so you don't necessarily have a bit of bread and a hodgepodge bowl of soup and start thinking about political revolution immediately. You're just glad that you got fed. Like that night, you had food. And then and at a certain point, it's a learned helplessness. It's everything is so ingrained. But the fact of the matter is that we're dealing with behavior patterns where people are emulating like the worst behavior of the past, whether they realize it or not. And there is a duty to point that out, especially in a democracy, I feel, right? That if if we cannot simply discuss, okay, because every topic gets so heated, and I'm not going to even mention any of these topics because that's not the point. The point is we all have to work together to make things better for everyone. And when it's antagonistic coevolution, when we're in an arms race, right? So what was the Cold War? Why did we need to do all that during the Cold War and have the elementary school kids doing bomb drills, okay, and the klaxons and the sirens? Because at a certain level, even though church and state are not fully disentangled, and there could be somebody who just led, like based and went like, there's there's value to these beliefs, even if we aren't going to be religious about it. There's value to this. Let's not murder, for example. Like, just set the table, share the food, talk about it. What is the true crux of the issue, and figure it out peacefully. You have a particular leader right now. Initials are VP, who's part of another alphabet organization, starting with K, ending in B, and the middle initial is G. All right? And the actions of that organization were um, the hand of a sick and twisted monarchic construct that built itself up like on the backs of people's beliefs, then betrayed them all and took all the money for themselves, resulting in essentially an oligarchy of the wealthy, like functionally an oligarchy. Whether it's a monarchy on paper or not, right, or whether it's a democracy on paper or not, if the decisions are truly made by a group of people who then tell, such and such as the official representative, right, to vote, just truly perverse amount of going. And it's there's really no reason other than greed. Greed, pride, vanity. Um, and those are just sins. So, okay, smart guy, you believe in the Christian doctrine too, then? Um, okay, not really. I don't. But I I do think that if you have no moral line in the sand, no standard to which you hold yourself, then you are no better than an animal, and you surely do not deserve to be in the position to make decisions for the entirety of even a portion of the global population, much less, inciting incidents which will affect the entire globe, the entire, delicate balance of power, trade, and, codependency as well. Because as much as we rely on other nations for like raw materials and industry, those nations also are enriched. Now, the nations themselves, though, perhaps not, right? But certainly some individuals who are hopefully native to those places, but aren't always. Um, you don't even get to say like, oh, but it's fine because we give them money and then the money helps them lead better lives. No, and the middleman is taking a huge margin, and the other guy is ripping off their workers. The coffee trade. There was a huge push, right, to get fair trade certified. And I'll tell you something, man. I don't. I was trained as a Starbucks employee, and they really kind of gloss over the whole fair trade concept, right? Because it's touchy, and because they're sourcing beans from like Brazil, Africa, like less wealthy countries. And yes, it grows there, and they have different types of coffee. I'm not trying to say that they aren't fair trade. I'm just saying that they gloss over it in their training, and it's not a point of pride, meaning they don't want to draw attention to it. Like, if someone asks you about that, you tell the manager, basically, right? And they can get out the info sheet, and because they're paid that little bit more to, uphold, serve, and protect certain values or certain viewpoints, which Starbucks Inc. wants portrayed. The worst part is the manual can be full of lies. That it is not necessarily the truth, just because it was written down. Yeah, so I'm on like 3 tangents now. But don't even get me started on the coffee because there's dairy subsidies and like so the Starbucks stand isn't like the milk doesn't cost as much really to make as it's sold as. The coffee beans are like pennies to the dollar, and then I have to pay $5.95 for my venti because some Starbucks guys get paid a lot to reimagine a complex of sugar and caffeine addiction and how to further indoctrinate youths into that cycle of addiction and consumption mentality where they are always trying to get that thing that will make them feel good or better, whatever it is. And what does that do? That leads you to like harder drugs than caffeine. Like that whole culture is a gateway, right? But if you like, for example, in Europe, teens can drink younger. I think that's an opportunity that is granted to those adults to properly teach their children how to like responsibly enjoy alcohol. Because like yes, it has its effects, but there's also like some really fine points. You get a nice glass of wine, it's got a lot of things going on there. Like whiskey, bourbon, even rum. If you get like a black rum, like it's charred barrel aged, you'll taste like smoky, woody note. I'm talking like Bacardi Black. I'm talking like a good bottle of rum necessarily. Not that Bacardi's bad, but it's not the finest rum, But there's still I appreciating it, right? That you aren't just consuming it to get drunk, to get numb, to forget about what you did during the day and pass out so you can wake up in a frenzy the next morning because you got to pay bills, right? So, anyways, I think that's quite enough ranting. I guess that tea, I guess that tea this morning really did it to me. Um, now I've just, I guess I just had some stuff on my mind. It really bothers me. I live in a place where I know these these restaurants, some of these establishments are throwing food away, and it really hurts me to see like just the knowledge that there are places of such excess, and it's not even being consumed. It's not even like and this one guy he eats so much that there isn't enough to go around. No, people are eating enough mostly, and there's still food waste, and it's just that like excuse me, it's displaced. It's so remote from these food deserts, as they're called. But food deserts is a relatively new term. It, the whole thing is just like so. It pushes a, a globalization of culture, which innately is a homogenization of culture. When we're going, oh, okay, so this is how you make steel, and like here's all these particular like you get XYZ and okay, and make sure you get this particular plant from Brazil or whatever. Like so they can even replicate just a very specific procedure that would typically have in the past, right? Typically, if it's a foreign plant, you're going to have a lot of trouble caring for it, and we didn't necessarily know exactly what that plant wanted. So just by mud on the barn door, maybe going like, okay, well, it's how is it in the place where I got it from, and kind of working backwards from that. But now we know, like scientifically, to a degree, we've studied, plant anatomy and animal anatomy as well. And there's like every continent has like different, slightly different species. Um, although you see very similar types of creatures. Um, yeah, homogenization of culture, though, that's a really nasty one because it's a little bit like, so I believe it was called the Monroe Doctrine, not Marilyn Monroe. There was a president, I believe, or maybe a Secretary of State. Um, but somebody in the U.S. government had the last name Monroe, and I believe it was the Monroe Doctrine where the United States basically like said we were going to start a war with Japan if they didn't let us trade with them or talk to them because they had an isolationist government. Um, like we couldn't just respect that they're doing their own thing. We have, why did we do that to the Japanese? And especially when you look at what corporate culture has done to the youth of Japan and the rate of self-immolation, especially among 20 somethings who are entering a corporate workplace. Um, really, it has poisoned them. And I'm sure there's radicals who are like, and it's all our fault. It's not all our fault, but we did start it. We did make that happen. It's this really unfortunate intersection of specifically that culture of having such a rich heritage and like a misogyny and a pride. Uh, who's oldest, who's the old male, all this other stuff. To where corporate culture coming to existence in that place, it could never have been healthy because the Japanese people, like, so epigenetics is this principle that like part of your culture, if your bloodline is steeped in a particular culture, like there is something about the gestalt combination that you are like that culture speaks to like your very gene. Like you'll feel it in your bone. Like an ancestry, feeling the spirits of your ancestors moment. And it makes sense epigenetically that that's possible, that it's plausible, that there is like a scientific reason of subconscious procedures occurring in the human mind which allow us to interpret oddities of reality as, oh, that's an ancestor, whatever it might be. Um, combining, it just feels awful. And I don't think a lot of Americans realize that we did that to Japan. Like you look at, oh, Japan, because we want to be like, oh, well, they decided to make the company, right? They decided to work there, right? But you're acting like people have a choice whether or not to contribute to an economy when they have to pay rent and bills. It's sink or swim. It's you take out the loan, you get the credit card, and you feel happy that like you can survive and like you keep your head down. That's no way to live. And there are those who knowingly exploit the less fortunate, um, or even the equally fortunate, right? Who are at each other's throats with ruthlessness, greed, extortion. Um, the snake is going to eat its own tail, or it's going to have to learn that it's all connected. But right now, the mouth is closing, you know? So, I know, quite a tangent. That was like an hour and a half yap. Can't believe that. Okay. Hi, YouTube. Okay. Um, yeah, that pretty much covers what I had on my mind, I guess. But we just got to do better. And like, I'm not in the exact personal position to do much better than I am doing for the world. And but sometimes I still just feel guilty for it. And and I feel like I could be taking out loans to make things happen for other people. And I'm fucking 25. I'm not. Family is not wealthy. I worked really hard to get this computer built, get my monitor, and it took like 2 years working and like saving up because there's bills and food. This is hundreds of dollars of equipment, but you know if I can put it to use, I'm glad I can just put it to use. And you know things have just got to get better. And some people just really do not have a strict enough moral standard for what is right and what is wrong, and what is the bottom line of like what's okay. You know, because to me, letting somebody go hungry just because they don't have a buck, like there's something not right about that. And that shows me that we don't really care about taking care of each other, or that the bottom line is not about taking care of each other. The bottom line is about making money for somebody, or giving, or putting your energy and life force and dedicating the limited time and resources that you have as you know as as an just animal human being, like because imagine if we had spent, like, let's say after World War II, right? If the Cold War didn't happen, and instead of the Cold War, we got like the nice warm hug globally. What do I mean by that? Like, it's instead of each nation going on a technological rampage to outrace, outclass the other nations' technologies of war, um, you know, they didn't. Nobody thought like, what if we did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and it was raining mana from the heaven, and the people were blessed with food and water and abundant life, because the degree of resources and intelligence and dedication and focus and secrecy, manipulation, all that for nothing, for a war that was never fought between principled nations that pretend to be okay with each other but really don't. Some who are part of generations belonging to this hierarchy, or who have themselves been pawns of a hierarchy and believe that it is now their turn to take the big fat first slice for themselves and leave everybody else scraps of the pie. But at this point, right, Either the snake is going to bite its own tail off, or it's going to have to learn not that that's part of it too. Anyways, it's peace and love in the free world. What we're going for. I'll catch you guys next time I stream, okay? Just some food for thought, I guess. I guess.